Welcome back, guys. Keeping my voice down because it's, well, just gone 5:30 in the morning. I'm gonna grab a wave. It's a full moon and it's a high tide, so Bude Harbour should be flooded, and I think there's enough swell to get a wave there, so I can get a wave and get back home pretty much before the rest of my house starts making plans for the day. And yeah, I'll be getting the top orange board out, but because of the condition of my workshop and the front bit of the workshop, which I call a utility room really, that's going to be a job in itself. But I'm going to get things together and start heading on down. I'm a bit slow. I've got a cup of coffee to help speed things along, but I'm basically starting the day off this early because I've got things to do, and on top of that I want to get down to the forest and have a little chat with you guys. So I'm going to get this happening and basically start my day. I used to start work at this time of the morning when I was a younger man, and it was never an issue, and I used to get up at 4 o'clock to go for a dawn surf before going to work in the summer months. But it's getting increasingly harder to get up this time of the morning these days. But in any case, catch you in a minute. Yeah, I've got another 50 cal shell stick I'm in the process of doing. I'll bring you around here, excuse the mess. A load of those have just been claimed, and I'm working on those, but I've got a trampoline there which is blocking the doorway, and my sticks are just starting to impede that door opening, so it makes getting a 7'10" surfboard out the door quite challenging. But the cat's going back to bed. Not a bad idea. Well, that was kind of well needed. Catch up with a few guys and you know, just do what you got to do. But how things change. This was where we used to park our cars as a group. It's now got all electric stations, and it's now got a building with I think it's going to be for a gig boat, but in any case that's where we used to all hang out. But now that's no longer. We're gradually being pushed as a group further up the car park. Progress and change, eh? But next time you see me, we will be in the woods. Well, I'm guessing some of you will already know where I am. I'm at the Bushcraft Shelter that I built roughly about a month and a half ago, but the last time I stayed here, I did an overnighter, was about a month ago. I want to do a quick review and see how it's holding up. It wasn't built to last, but not only that, it has been discovered, and I'll go into that story a little bit more. But we'll have a quick little look around here. I've chained Bracken off as normal, so he can do his thing, dig holes and sniff, and he's got like 10 meters he can walk around and, you know, just dig holes and do what he's doing. So I'm going to have a look in here, and then I'm going to talk about just some bits and bobs of kit that allows me to come here to Bushcraft and Wild Camp, which I will put in the category of budget, and indeed some of it self-made. So without any further ado, let's have a look at the shelter. So like I said, it was never built to last, and I've used garden twine to actually bind all the logs together, and it is holding, and it's all dry there, and it's all solid and firm. So, you know, it, like I said, it was only built with it in mind to last a few months. This is pretty much a month and a half on, and it's still as good as the day I built it. So if this was a shelter you were using for the purpose of sheltering, if you had a survival situation going on, this would keep you alive. Now, I've got the moss on the outside, and we've had about 3 gales. We've had freezing conditions, and we've had torrential rain. All that moss is still on the actual walls. I really stuffed it in all the cracks, but not only is it there, it's actually surviving. You can see the grass that I used in amongst it, that's obviously perished, but the actual moss is still alive, and it looks like it's beginning to embed itself into the actual wood structure itself. It is firm, it's going nowhere. Like I said, it's as good as I built the day I built it. And if I bring you around, you can clearly see the moss isn't dying off at all. In fact, some bits of it look healthier than when I picked it. That may be due to the fact it's getting light from there. But I'm well pleased with this. It was definitely worth investing the time to build this. Now, I don't have a torch to give you a really good look around in there, but that ground is dry in there. My emergency store of logs is dry, and that's a good sign that, because it's right near the opening here, it's a good sign that it's staying dry. I have been in there, and it is dry in there, while out here it's damp. So it's definitely doing its job, and I don't see any internal mold and funguses growing. So I'm guessing because of that, those logs underneath the moss are now becoming to the point they're drying out. So my conclusion on this, just to throw a scenario out there, if you came down in a light plane in Canada or Alaska's wilderness, building something like this with rudimentary and improvised materials and stuff you could source naturally, you could actually possibly survive for a period of time quite comfortably. You would probably block this end off a little bit more to stop draft and wind, but something like this would get the job done. Right then, inside my bags that I bring out, whether it be this like patrol pack here or my Bergen, this will be my first line of defence against pretty much any water getting to items I don't want wet, like my sleep system or my clothes, dry clothes, which I carry with me if there's any chance there's going to be any rain. And you should carry some warm kit, not only warm kit but dry kit, so that you can replace anything that gets wet. I individually wrap that up in a bag as well, and this will sit in the bottom of this, right pushed down, so that it's doubly insulated against any chance of moisture finding its way to it. So I know no matter how cold, wet and miserable I get, once I've got a shelter up, I do have dry kit to put on. And quite often I'll split my t-shirt, pants and socks down so they're in a separate bag, because on some occasions it might just be all you want is to change your undergarments, just to kind of like freshen yourself up. You can seal it back in a bag and put that on the outer part of your Bergen or patrol pack, on the internal side of it, just to keep it away from all your good clean stuff and dry stuff. So yeah, always double wrap your dry kit, put it inside one of these in a plastic bag, and boy, people underrate plastic bags, and I'll come on to that, but a plastic bag can be the difference between a cold, wet and miserable night, particularly if you don't have to be that way. Another thing is mess tins. You would have seen on my channel I use mess tins. I don't have any skillets or bushcrafting cookware. I know it's better for cooking, it retains the heat. There's everything about the stuff, you know, cast iron and all the outdoor cooking utensils are a lot better than these. 1,000 times better, but you can still cook with these. You can still do most things that you want. And if you look through back all my wild camping and that, you can see on a budget I've been able to feed myself and actually keep myself, you know, going out here just using these. They don't cost a lot either, unlike some of the bushcrafting and wild camping cookware sets, which, to be honest with you, can set you back a small fortune. So don't overlook these. They're not going to do the same job as like cast iron cookware sets and that. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this will get you outdoors doing this, you know, on a real budget. And just watch some of my wild camping videos. I'm out there doing it with these. Now, coming on to that, this is my boiling vessel, and yes, it is pretty beat up. It needs cleaning and that, but I paid, I think, about €2, something like that, in Portugal. I just took the plastic lid off, put a nut and bolt, and that's my boiling vessel, and I've had it for the best part of 2.5 years, something like that. It's not the best quality stainless steel, it's quite thin. I don't abuse it, I look after it, but it's got me out here, and this is my boiling vessel of choice, and it's still going strong for a couple euros. So this is my hatchet, and I've got a few videos online of how I transformed a budget hatchet from just an ordinary DIY store into this. I'm not suggesting this is going to be as authentically nice and usable as some of the expensive hatchets dedicated to bushcrafting and wild camping, but I stripped all the paint off, brought it back to its wood, boiled linseeded it, cleaned the paint off the head, and because it needed regrinding, I put a bevel on it and got it sharp, because straight out of the shop a lot of the bit of the blade was actually squared off. It wasn't actually, you know, actually any bevel on it. So for, well, less than a tenner, it was way less than a tenner, I've got myself a nice little hatchet. Didn't take a lot of work, but I'm quite pleased with it. And unless you're a connoisseur of hatchets, this will do the job. And I recommend, you know, if you're on a budget for less than a tenner and just a little bit of time and effort, you can create something which, you know, does the job out here. And it's got a nice wood handle, not a plastic one, which is what I wanted it for. And it does the job, basically. Now, you guys would have seen this. I used to use an oversized dog food can, but I couldn't find it when I tried to replace it. It burnt out after a year, which was good going, I thought, because I managed to feed the dog, and I actually had a little hobo stove. As you can see, this is my new version, the Mark II, and this is basically just a cutlery dryer that you put on your sink to allow them to dry. It's stainless steel. It is quite actually, it's not too bad a grade, and I've just cut some bigger holes there to get a bit more air in the bottom. I did discover that very quickly, that I needed access for more air, and I've only done it on two sides so I can place that in the wind or turn it out of the wind to increase the burn or slow the burn. And you may have seen I also use a dog bowl. I place it inside, and that contains all the hot ashes, and I can stop the hot transfer to the ground. It just helps aid that. So that's my fire setup, and that was kicking around home for our pets, and it was outside. We've got a couple of these, so I just used that, and that I think was something like £3 again. So as you can see, dirt cheap. I always when I'm out, I contain my fires. You won't actually see me having a full fire. I always use a small contained fire. So, and this does me. So yet again, a cheap homemade item. Well then, I'm going to talk about kit I wear, or a small part of it, and that is trousers. And I love these, and it's not because I've got some fetish like when I left the army I couldn't leave MTP or military clothing alone. It's quite simply the fact, if these get damp or wet, if you're wearing them slightly baggy and your leg sits in the tunnel of cloth, they will dry out reasonably quick, unlike jeans or other materials. Obviously, if they're soaking wet, you know, they're going to be wet, but this material does dry out reasonably fast. And if you're wearing it and you've got breeze passing through it, it does tend to dry off. So if you get damp and you're milling around camp, you know, within a short period of time, these can actually dry out while you're wearing them. They do have loads of pockets, map-sized ones, and they do, it comes, if you look on the label, it will come in like a summer or winter version. So, you know, you have to be careful what you actually buy. Make sure it's for what you want it to do. But the best thing about these is, if they rip or get torn, needle and thread, you can sew these up. You virtually don't notice it. And unlike more expensive, you know, like £100 outdoor pair of trousers, unless you send them back to the manufacturer, they're quite hard to repair yourself. These here just go on and on and on, and they're dirt cheap. You can buy them for nothing now, and yeah, fantastic. But they're not that good at keeping the wind out, like wind chill. But with the British Army, they always issue you with some like long john type items which you would wear underneath this. But if you're only wild camping or bushcrafting in this sort of environment, and you're not up on mountains or extremely high elevations, you know, these here, let's face it, they issue them to the lads in the army, and we've all wore them and, you know, had to make do. So if they can manage that and they're out for weeks at a time, you know, just an overnighter, these are absolutely fantastic if you're on a budget. Now this here is my I'm going to use the word proper bushcraft knife. It's a Desert Master. It was given to me. It's nothing fantastic, and I think they, well, when I had it, they retailed possibly at around about £10. So even if they still make them now, it's going to be really dirt cheap. And I'm not going to suggest it's the best quality, or is, you know, somebody's going to revere this, but it's done the job. I've abused it. It's still here, and I still use it to this day, although less now I've produced my own horseshoe knife, because I've kind of fallen in love with that. But yeah, I haven't spent big money on a bushcraft knife. It, like I say, it was given to me, and even if I'd have bought it, it would have been possibly less than £10 or thereabouts at the time. At the time I got it. I'm not saying that's what it would cost now. Now I do have a small little grandfather's pocket knife. It's of a nondescript make. It holds an edge pretty well, and I use it in pretty much all applications. Even if I go out for a walk, you know, I never know if I might see a stick that needs liberating. But yeah, this does me for pretty much everything I do. And I can remember one of my wild camps, I forgot to take a knife or a saw, and I had to use this to actually chop up some firewood when I run out of gas. So, you know, it saved the day, a little grandfather's pocket knife. And in fact, when I was a kid, most of my bushcraft and wild camping was done with an item similar to this. I'm just watching Bracken. He's seen something. He broke his chain here once, well, not that long ago, and that's a little story in a moment. So I keep an eye on him. But this is how I transport my water. And this here, I used this all the way through my military career as well. I always had one of these stuffed inside my bag. I know it's not the British Army one. I was obviously issued with one of those and I had that with me, but I always carried a litre of water in this. Due to my age and everything like that, you know, if I started to get dehydrated, I really did start to go downhill fast. And I knew by experience to carry in just an extra litre. I would rather carry the weight of this and, you know, be able to swig some water back and get that instant hit and feel good again than be without it. But in any case, I've still got them, and this is how I transport my water outdoors, wild camping and bushcrafting. It's not the new, what I call sports type of bottles that you're seeing people carry. This here I could drop out of a 2-story window and it'd probably just bounce, you know what I mean? Whereas they would obviously, because it's kind of like a plastic that's like shatterproof, it would disintegrate and break. But this is fantastic, and it fits in most of my pockets. I could have got a British Army one if I wanted to, I suppose, but these here at the time, they were literally almost giving them away in the store. So, you know, I bought 2 or 3 at the same time, and this is how I transport my water. Obviously it's plastic, I can't put it near any fire or anything like that, but like I said, it's durable. I can throw my bags around, I know this isn't going to burst or break, and I'll still have my water when I get to my location, and it's not going to be everywhere inside my kit and bag. I have a builder's rubble bag here, and it does as good a job as this actually. You scrunch it up and pull it in and almost gooseneck it, so you don't even have to have those. This is the real stuff, tough plastic. And as you can see, there's a lot of room. And I have used this inside my big Bergen. You can see where I've been pulling on it over years, and it's basically started to pull through. But I've had multiple outdoor sessions using this, you know, and something like this is fantastic just to pull out and sit on the ground as well. So it's got a multitude of uses, which leads me on to one item every bushcrafter and wild camper should carry, and that is an extra strong garbage bag. The amount of uses you can get out of this is unreal. Now, from a survival point of view, you can actually open it up, put a head hole, armholes, and you can create yourself a kind of poncho. I've even seen demonstrations where they've been cut further down so you can make a hood out of it. So yeah, you can use this as an emergency waterproof system if you had to. You can sit on it, you can transport materials, and I should have brought one with me when I did this shelter. It would have saved me all the trips carrying the moss. You think how much moss I could have stuffed into this. In a survival situation, you can carry water, you can cut strips off. This stuff will burn and stay burning for quite a while. You've got to be careful of the smoke coming off it, because obviously it's toxic. Yeah, these here are unreal, and you can waterproof your kit, even down to just sitting on it like the last bag I showed you. If you're outdoors, and as it's a garbage bag, you can even load your garbage in it. Stuff it up, it's not going to contaminate any of your kit as you extract out of the woods or moors or hills. Take a garbage bag with you. You might not regret it one day. I mean, I have actually used a bag for that situation, but I'm going to tell you a little story, and I'm not saying you should do this. When I was a kid, we got caught out in the rain in one of our camps, and we had the old-fashioned fertilizer bags. Well, obviously the inside the bag was still contaminated with fertilizer, so we cut holes, put it over us, but our hands all started tingling and burning. It was really horrible. Should have read a warning label on the bags, but yeah, it really didn't feel too pleasant. Now, when I'm setting up a shelter, I use the British Army tarp, the issue one, and it's a fantastic piece of kit. That's what I'm actually using. I don't have a tent, that's what I use. I make a tarp tent out of it, or a lean-to, or whatever configuration I feel I can get away with that on that night, or how I want to actually spend the night. This is just a cheap tarp, as you can see. I've used this for about 2, maybe 3 years, and it's still going strong. All the eyelets, it's getting a bit frayed on some of the corners, but I tend to look after kit and not abuse it. Like I said, and this is still going strong, and I've spent many a night out under the stars with this. I'm not suggesting, when I'm talking about cheap kit the way I'm doing, I'm not suggesting, and I'm definitely not telling you to go anywhere near you know, mountains in sub-zero conditions, or high ground, or be out of a safe environment if you're using improvised kit like myself. It stands to reason, you know, you always have to be safe and secure in the knowledge your kit can do the job you want it to do. All this, what you see or I'm presenting you with here now, is stuff I've used, and I know how to use it, and I know the limitations. Like I said, I wouldn't be up on Ben Nevis, you know, with this in, you know, 30-mile-an-hour winds, blizzards, and, you know, minus 15 degrees. It stands to reason, and I hope you guys can understand that. So this is the horseshoe knife that I forged myself, and I've literally fallen in love with it, and I intend to forge some more knives myself. It's absolutely brilliant, and I've sharpened it a couple times since I've had it, and I use it for everything now. And yeah, I know it's not something that everybody could do, as in having the equipment or even wanting to forge or play around experimenting, but for me, I've made this and I've fallen in love with it. I don't think I would even bother if somebody gave me, you know, a couple £100 bushcraft knife. I think this may be still the first thing I'd go for. I just love the novelty and the fact it's been made by myself. But yeah, it cost me nothing, this knife, and it's doing everything I want out here. Right then guys, I've got a decent set of Gore-Tex waterproofs which I take if I'm going up on the high ground, or I know it's going to be absolutely sodden. But if it's just sort of like something I'm not too sure of, I just take these cheap waterproofs here. They're showerproof, but they're definitely not total, you know, rainproof, as in if it's torrential. And after possibly a couple of hours being in, you know, wet conditions, it does sometimes soak through. But they're showerproof, so if I know I'm potentially experiencing showers, I do have these at hand to put on. Like I said, they're cheap, but they just do the job. So, but yet again, I'm not suggesting that you should even think about relying on something like this, you know, if you're going out doing some serious outdoor activities. Get decent waterproofs. I do have a set. All I'm saying is, if I know I'm going to be out, I don't know, doing an overnighter, I'm in a secure location, there's a possibility of a shower, and I don't want to take my heavy waterproofs, I might just chuck these in, just in case I've got to mill around camp, I've got something to stop me getting wet. But I would not rely on these in any adverse weather conditions. They just ain't up for the job. Showerproof only. As for fire, more often than not, you'll find me with a cheap lighter here. This is what I call my fire bomb, and basically it's protected in a dog poo bag. Obviously I've got a dog, I've got thousands of these. These are flammable in their own right, but I just use lint from the tumble dryer. I use a flammable skin cream, And that's something that you will have to experiment with safely to find out. You don't want something that flashes straight up or something that literally just takes forever to take. So basically I stuff that in there. I've got wood chips and everything from when I make my hiking sticks in there, so I've got something that will take straight away and keep a flame going. So basically all I do is break it open with a knife, and you can see inside I've actually got bigger bits of wood in there, wood shavings. Just light it. There you go. If I put it in there like that, I'll let you have a look. So yeah, that's a piece of toilet roll soaked with some flammable skin cream. I've got some bits of wood from, or leftovers from when I'm sanding and shaping my hiking sticks, just to give it something to you know, catch hold of and start the burn, and then have something that will last. And as you can see, once it's started, it's a self-contained fire unit all to itself. And this is my cheap gas stove. You would have seen me use this if you followed any of my videos, and it does the job for me. And I'm going to have a cup of coffee now. And talking of a cup of coffee, this is just a random steel, heavy gauge steel mug. I don't even know where it came from. It's in the house, and you know, I couldn't even describe, or I don't know nothing about it. But yet again, it's just something improvised that I use outdoors. It's hard wearing, hard lasting, and it's technically bulletproof, I'd almost say. Now, obviously, I'm not saying, you know, that this is the way forward to, obviously, bushcraft and wild camp like I am. I'm utilising stuff quite simply because if I've got a spare tenner, it goes to the kids' shoes or packed lunches and things like that. And if I didn't improvise, I probably wouldn't get out. And there's probably a raft of us out there doing it. But I will always say, if you've got the money, I really do suggest you buy good kit. And if you're going to be doing any serious outdoor activities in serious environments, always have the right kit for the right situation, time of year and place you're going to, and know how to use it. Even with the kit I've got here, I do have the expertise at hand to keep myself safe in the environments I operate in. But you know, I'm waiting for my coffee now. Now, one of the most singular pieces of kit that I discovered while I was serving in the military, right the way through till now, which I never had beforehand, which has been a total godsend to me when I've been out and about. Now, a lot of people associate it with Call of Duty type of people and things like that, but the shemag, wrap it around like that, stuff it down inside your jacket, no wind on the back of the neck, it's right up to the nape of my head there, right the way around to my earlobes, all the way down there. There's nothing more that will drain your heat than cold air slipping down the back of your neck, all around your shoulders and through the openings around your neck like that. Oh, it's toasty, and that is one of the few items I will say that I would not go outdoors without having that in my bag or pocket now. It makes things not just bearable, it makes them comfortable. Now, if you're wondering what kind of footwear I use, it's just some ordinary Stanley work boots. They're not expensive. They're not like, you know, £160 or £200 outdoor boot. They've got good grip, they're waterproof, they're durable, they're rugged. 2 pairs of socks keeps me warm, and they just do. But they are a good solid pair of boots, and that's kind of a necessity if you're out and about wild camping. Always have the right kit for whatever environmental situation you're going into outdoors, you know, whether it be weather, the actual area, and the conditions, and indeed other people with you, or if you're on your own. Always think safety and have the right kit and equipment. But on top of that, and also knowledge, but on top of that, I hope you you know, enjoyed a little look at my budget kit and kit I've got that I've made myself to get out here and do it. I'm not suggesting it's the way forward, as I've said. It just allows me to get out. I do have a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of know-how how to look after myself, so I'm quite confident with what I got and what I do. But any fool can be cold, wet and miserable, as they say. But I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to get out of here. The weather conditions are changing. So take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail. Oh, and a quick one. Yes, we were discovered, me and the kids down here, not very long ago. It was going to happen if I brought the kids down there, all the noise and that. Somebody walked over the berm to investigate, and here we were with the shelter. They came down, had a little chat, you know, thought it was fantastic. But yeah, we were going to get caught. There was no two ways about it. So this shelter is known now, and I don't know how long it will survive now. Even though my kids were climbing all over it, it's still here. You know, that's another fact I didn't say. My kids were climbing all over it, and it didn't collapse or any of the moss come off. But in any case, stay safe, take care, and hope to catch you guys out on the trail.